Hello, and welcome back for another puzzle video. This time we're on the Autumn map, and we're piloting the Marquise de Cat in an endgame puzzle. So we are trying to win on this turn. So we are piloting the cats. The cats are at 21 points. We've crafted a sword, a crossbow, eerie emigre, and swap meat. Let's take a look at the cat's position here. The cats are positioned primarily along the right-hand side of the board, with the keep in the center, with a sawmill and a wood token. We've got 3 workshops on board, 2 in a fox clearing, 1 in a rabbit clearing in the bottom left. We have an undefended recruiter in the bottom fox clearing, and a very well-defended sawmill in the bottom right. In hand, we have coffin makers, travel gear, a sword, and false orders. Tuck those away on the bottom of your screen for handy reference. In the supply, there are 8 warriors. For those of you eagle-eyed viewers, you may be wondering what happened to the final 2 cats. Well, those are in the Riverfolk Company's payments system. They're part of their funds. So the Riverfolk in the game are mostly concentrated in the bottom left-hand corner surrounding that workshop there. They have a number of trade posts out on the field. All of the services cost 4, and let's take a closer look at the Riverfolk's hand. We have rabbit partisans, a root tea, saboteurs, false orders, and marine broker. We'll tuck that away in the top left-hand corner for your continued reference. Let's look at the badgers. The keepers in iron have migrated across the map a fair distance and have collected 7 relics so far. Very impressive. And they've also done a good job of shading their points. Notice that they don't have very many figures. Every time you complete a column of relics, that is 1 figure, 1 tablet, and 1 piece of jewelry, you'll get a bonus 2 points on the score. So for example, even if they scored a 1-point figure, that would actually get them 3 points with the bonus 2 points. So they've done a good job of shading these incomplete columns, and they're ready to score a number of points they could possibly win on their turn. The only thing holding them back is these way stations are not super ideal, right? They want to collect these figures, but they have no figure way stations up at the moment. It's going to take them at least 2 turns to get those down. But there could be other ways for them to find a path to victory, because their retinue is looking very strong at 10 cards. Let's take a closer look at the retinue. There it is. In hand, they have 5 cards. And now it's time to take a look at the Corvids. The Corvids have 4 face-up plots and 2 face-down plots, and they're currently at 19 points. For those of you at home who are good at counting, you'll know that if they flip both of those plots successfully on their turn, they'll score 11 points and win the game. Very nice. There's also something a bit odd looking about their position. They have 3 face-up snares. If you play mostly on the digital implementation of Root, this might be something you haven't seen before. That's just because in over-the-board Root these days, the Corvids have a small buff, which is that they'll add an extra plot of each type to their supply, and just that helps to keep the game a little more interesting. It makes it a little tougher to guess which plots are face down. But in this case, all 3 snares are face up. A snare is a token that says, in the clearing with the snare, enemy warriors can't move out, right? So if you're a warrior that's in the clearing with the snare, you can't move out. And enemy pieces can't be placed in a clearing with the snare, right? So for example, if we tried to recruit in this clearing, no cats could be placed in this clearing. That also goes for building as well. If you wanted to build a building, that would involve placing a building token in this clearing, which you can't do because of the snare, right? Okay. So the snare's really making life tough for the cats in the center of the map here. They've crafted informants, so at the end of their turn, rather than just drawing a random card, they decided to pluck an ambush from the discard pile. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the discard pile. There it is. And there's only 3 cards left in the deck. How about that? Remember, we've crafted Eerie Emigre and Swap Meet, both of which will activate during Birdsong. Swap Meet says once in Birdsong may take a random card from another player and give them a card. Eerie Emigre says at the end of Birdsong, so the last thing we'll do in Birdsong. Take a move, then initiate a battle in the clearing you moved into. If you did not take both actions, discard this card. It is Birdsong. You are the cats. It's time for you to win this game on this turn. Can you find the path to victory? I'll give you a couple of seconds to work out your winning turn. All right. For those of you who've solved it, congratulations. For everyone who's just along for the ride, let's dive into the solution. First things first, the Riverfolk are asking if we would like to purchase a service, either a card or mercenaries or riverboats. Remember, everything costs 4 right now, and we do share a clearing with a trade post, which means we can buy 2 services if we so choose. I say let's do that. Let's buy 2 cards from the Riverfolk. The 2 cards we're going to buy are, of course, Saboteurs and False Orders. Intriguing. Now, it's very important that we grab a Fox card here, in addition to the Bird card. The Bird card's obvious, right? That gives us an extra action during daylight if we discard it. Always helpful for the cats. The Fox card is really where the subtlety of this position comes out. So we're paying our final 8 warriors to get both cards. All right, we're adding that card to hand. And now that we have this Fox card, it's time to take a look at the Corvids Position. Anytime there's a face-down plot, you can show a card to the Corvids in order to expose that face-down plot. That is, you can take a guess as to what it is, and if you're correct, you remove it from the map and score a point. If not, you have to fork over the card to the Corvids. Now we know that since 3 snares are face-up, that these face-down plots could only be one of 3 types. And it's important that we grabbed this False Orders, this Fox card, because there's one other card that we can grab during our turn using Swap Meet, and that is the Ambush from the Corvid's hand. But which ambush is it? Well, by process of elimination, we've looked at the retinue, and we saw the mouse ambush there. We looked at the discard pile, and we saw both bird ambushes and a rabbit ambush, so that means the Corvids are holding the Fox ambush. A very important detail. Now we can use Swap Meet to grab that Fox ambush from the Corvids and give them coffin makers in return, right? We're swapping out a rabbit for a fox. And now that we have 3 Fox cards in hand plus this bird card, that finally means it is safe for us to spend all 3 of these Fox cards guessing which plot is face down in this Fox clearing here. If the Corvids, by the way, if the Corvids had grabbed the rabbit ambush rather than the Fox ambush, we could have sussed that out and instead used our purchase from the Riverfolk company to grab the rabbit card instead. Okay, so enough is enough. Let's use our 3 Fox cards to correctly guess this plot here. All right, and let's hang on to this ambush at the end. During the correct guess, we get the card back. Let's say that we guess incorrectly twice and then finally get a correct one. That's 1 point. We're at 22. Finally, the time has come to generate some wood at our sawmills. We have 3 wood tokens total. And let's do Eerie Emigre at the end of Birdsong. So if you got this far, then wow, you really are a root strategy master. But I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to work out how you're going to use Eerie Emigre to help win the game here. Before we dive into the second part of the solution, I'm going to give a quick shout out to Good Times Society, the sponsor of today's video. This is part of a series of videos that is being released in support of RootCon 2023. That's happening in Portland, Oregon, August 19th and 20th at Guardian Games. It's a Root tournament, live stream, a live puzzle, some Root trivia. It's going to be super fun. All right, but let's get into the solution here. With Eerie Emigre, we are, of course, going to march our cats from the bottom right-hand corner into this mouse clearing, where we're going to battle one of these undefended pieces of cardboard, the trade post. That's right, not the raid. It's important that we battle the trade post rather than the raid, because the raid, you'll remember, spawns Corvid warriors in all adjacent clearings. Something that would lose us rule over this Fox clearing, right? All right, so we'll get a point for that trade post. And since we have 6 warriors here, we have rule over this mouse clearing. Remember, the badgers have a presence of 5 with their way station. Now that it's daylight, our first step is going to be to craft. So let's craft the 2 items in our hand. That's travel gear and the sword for 3 points. We'll spend that bird card for an additional action, giving us 4 daylight actions. We'll use one of those to build a sawmill. Use another one to overwork using that fox ambush that we held on to. Now we have 2 wood tokens to work with. Let's take a march. We only need half of that march. So we'll send 1 warrior from this mouse clearing down into this fox clearing. Now we have a chain of rule extending from this sawmill through the mouse clearing, now that we've built this sawmill, and down into this fox clearing. We could have recruited if we had any warriors left in the supply, but you'll remember we paid 8 warriors to the Riverfolk Company, so there's nothing left to recruit with, right? Okay, now that we rule that fox clearing, let's use our last action to build another recruiter there, scoring us 2 points and getting us exactly to 30. So if you found the golden thread leading you to the end of this game, congratulations. Quintessence of strategic foresight. Well done. All right, thanks for joining me for another puzzle video. This is so fun. There's going to be several more of these in the series, so stay tuned, and I'll see you around the woodland.